Welcome to the Her Vibe is Pretty podcast, where you'll be guided on how to step up into your evolved woman,
design your dream life, and start living it. Let's get vibey.
Hey, Pretty Vibe Tribe. Welcome back to another episode of the Her Vibe is Pretty podcast. This is part 3 to what is eventually going to be a 4-part series. Part 1 and part 2, all about your relationship to food, dropped last week. So if you haven't listened to those yet, I highly recommend going back to check those out. You don't need to listen in order. So if you're listening to this one first, that's totally fine. This one is going to be all about your relationship to your body and body image. And then part 4 will drop in the future. And that's going to be more about not like surface level food and body stuff, but kind of. It's going to be more so about what to eat to try to feel more nourished and high vibe. But this one is all about our relationship to our bodies. A couple weeks ago, you guys asked a bunch of questions on relationship to food in your body, and they were so good that I decided to turn this into a whole series because I didn't want to leave one question unanswered. Now, with that said, I'm going to do my best to get through the rest of the deep questions today. There is a chance that I'm not going to make it through all of them. So if you asked a question and you didn't get an answered, you can always DM me on Instagram, and I'm more than happy to chat with you there. And or if you asked a question and you do get it answered here and you don't feel complete with the answer, please feel free to DM me and we can chat. So before we get into the episode, I want to remind all of you that you have one more week to enroll in Diet Culture Dropout, which is my signature course for healing your relationship to food and your body. One more week. This is the last launch ever of Diet Culture Dropout. In 2022, we are rebranding. We are upgrading the program. So with the upgrades, an increase in price will come as well. If you enroll now, you're going to still have the contents that are in the course right now forever, but you'll also be included in the rebrand and in the upgrades too. But you'll get it at the price that it is at now. So if you are ready to heal your relationship to food in your body once and for all, this is for you. Now, I want to answer a question. Somebody asked me, hey, I don't usually diet. I've never really dieted much, but I noticed that I do struggle with emotional eating, binge eating. I turn to food when I'm bored, when I'm stressed, when I'm anxious. Is this for me? And the answer is yes. I know the name can throw people a little bit because it's Diet Culture Dropout, but even if you don't diet or you've never dieted, but you still struggle with your relationship to food or your body, this course is still for you. I personally, in the past, have gone through bits of dieting. I shouldn't say bits, like chapters. There are chapters in my life where I dieted, but then there were chapters in my life where I wasn't dieting, yet I was still emotional and binge eating. And it was really taking a toll on my overall quality of life. So the answer is yes. Even if you don't diet, this is still so profound for you. It's literally my step-by-step process that I took to heal my relationship to food and my body, to feel liberated with food, free from food and thoughts about food. And it's the step-by-step journey that I took to build a healthy relationship to my body, to come back home to my body, to love my body again. It will teach you to do the same. If you go to the link in the show notes, you can start to read some other testimonials and words from members in the program who have already went through Diet Culture Dropout. I also have a section where I shared some of their progress. When you join Diet Culture Dropout, you're going to be a part of our Facebook community. It's a private community where we celebrate wins and we do live Q&As and we connect, and you guys can ask questions whenever they come up in your journey. And I shared some of the wins, just some. I think there are about 9 wins on the Diet Culture Dropout page that you can go look at. And the reason I shared those is because even though you're going to come into this with intentions of healing your relationship to food in your body, you're going to leave with so much more. As many of you know, for me, healing my relationship to food in my body was the start of my spiritual awakening and was the start of me learning about who I truly am, who I'm meant to be, and who I'm meant to show up as on this planet. So go check out the Diet Culture Dropout page if you're interested. If you're listening to this live on December 8th, you have until midnight to use the code Pretty Vibe Tribe for $50 off. And then after that, it will go up to its holiday launch pricing, for just one more week and then doors close. So if you're interested, join us, get in now, and I'll see you in there. All right, let's get started on these questions. The first couple are actually around food. They're 2 food questions that I didn't get to last week. So we're going to start with those and then we'll move into the body. The first question is, how do you find a happy medium with food? I struggle with too much control or not enough control. So I want to start by pointing out that I know you feel that you struggle with not enough control, but feeling like you don't have enough control on food and feeling like out of control with food comes from being too in control with food. So when you are too controlling with food, that is actually what triggers feeling out of control. This goes back to like the diet binge cycle. So you'll feel like, okay, I'm going to control my food. I'm going to control the amount of calories I'm consuming, the macros I'm consuming. I'm going to control what I'm eating, when I'm eating. And when we're so controlling like that, we break because that is so unsustainable. We control, we constrict, and that doesn't feel good in our bodies. So that leads to us binging or then feeling out of control. So controlling is, and being quote unquote too in control is actually what you get to focus on to combat this. Because once you can be comfortable with not being super in control, once you can heal your relationship to control, it's going to be easy and feel natural for you to find that happy medium, and you're not going to have to worry about feeling out of control. And usually controlling comes from not feeling safe and or not trusting yourself. So when we are too in control with anything in life, and I'm going to bet that food isn't the only area that you struggle with either being over controlling or not in control. So typically feeling like we need to control things is because we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe in our bodies. We don't feel safe in our environment. And I want you to really just sit with that one, because a lot of times people are like, yeah, well, I'm safe. I have 4 walls around me and I have a roof over my head. What do you mean feel safe? That doesn't make much sense to me. And so what I'm going to say to that is, when we're little, typically as a child, because we're being raised by parents or guardians, because environments can seem chaotic a lot of the times when we're small, because our bodies just can't handle a lot when we're that young, we try to control and attempt to get what we want, or an attempt to feel safe in maybe a chaotic environment. A lot of the times, and you can literally observe children doing this, children trying to control, trying to say no to literally everything. That is their way of trying to feel safe, trying to feel happy, trying to feel like their environment is something that they can thrive in. So usually this control stuff starts as kids when we don't feel safe. We feel like the only way to feel safe is to control whatever we can control, whatever we have the capacity to control. Another reason that you could struggle with control is if you don't trust yourself. Self-trust is a really, really big piece of this. Learning how to trust yourself so that when you are not controlling your food, you can trust yourself to eat until you're full, to choose foods that are in alignment with your health blueprint or your highest health. So what I'm inviting you to do is, instead of focus on too much control or not enough control with food, start to just look into control in itself and what your relationship is to that. So I'm going to give you a couple of questions, and any of you that struggle with control, these questions are really, really helpful to journal on. First, ask yourself, where else do you struggle with control in life? What other areas are you either maybe a little over controlling, or what other areas do you feel out of control in? The next question is, what part of you is afraid of letting go of control? See what comes up. After that, go into, how is controlling serving you? And then, what might controlling be costing you? Start to really explore your relationship with control. You can also swap out control with the self-trust. Just start to reflect on these 2 elements and you'll start to discover your answers. But really, once you start to heal your relationship to control and self-trust, it gets easy to naturally have that medium. And I will say that in Diet Culture Dropout, we have an entire module on feeling safe without feeling the need to control. Body safety is like the first big piece of this journey. And we also have an entire module on building that self-trust again, because that's also a really, really big piece of the puzzle to healing your relationship to food and your body. All right, moving on. This question was around, like, how do I find, I can't remember exactly what the question was because I actually lost it, but it was something along the lines of, how do I find the balance between calorie counting versus overeating? My opinion, my experience is that you will not be able to find a balance between calorie counting and overeating, because calorie counting is typically what leads to overeating. A lot of the times our minds think that calorie counting is what's actually going to combat us overeating, because we're counting calories and we know that we're not allowed to go over a certain amount of calories. However, in my experience, in my opinion, in my experience in my own life, my experience with clients, in my studies with this topic, calorie counting is actually what leads to overeating. So I'm going to leave you with that, because it really is that simple. Maybe start to explore your relationship with calorie counting and your history with calorie counting. Since you're asking this question, I'm assuming that calorie counting has never helped you actually stop overeating sustainably. So come back to, what are my intentions with calorie counting, and is it even working? And maybe play with letting go of calorie counting for a while and see what happens. I know that can be scary for the mind, but I promise you that calorie counting, I would say 99% of the time, leads to overeating, because when we calorie count, we feel restricted. We feel like we can't have certain things, and that leads to us wanting those things even more and eventually binging on them. All right, let's go to the body questions. The first one is, I hate my mom pouch. Can't seem to lose it, even with working out and eating well. The quote I want you to sit with is, what we resist persists. I see this all of the time. People wanting so badly to lose weight, doing everything quote unquote right, whatever that means for them, working out, eating well, but nothing changes. And what I'm hearing for you is, I hate this part of me. What we resist persists. So what you get to do is start to shift your relationship to the mom pouch. I had a client who dealt with the same thing, and we really worked on her grounding into the gratitude for her body's ability to grow a human and birth a child. How can you reframe the way that you view this mom pouch? Can you, every time you look in the mirror, instead of looking at the mom pouch and being like, oh, I hate this, I'm so fat, I'm not my normal size, whatever the thoughts are that happen when you see your mom pouch, can you start to reframe that? And every time you see your mom pouch, can you say, wow, this is such a beautiful reminder that my body was strong enough and capable enough to grow a human and birth a human into this world. When you see your mom pouch, can you think of your child or your children and drop into gratitude for having them in your life? So I actually posted a post on my Instagram on Monday. So I highly recommend you going to look at that as well. It was 5 ways to love your body more without changing how it looks. Go look at that, read through all the slides, and maybe take notes on them, write them down, because what's going to help you shift back to your natural body frame is learning how to love your body the way it is, because what we resist always persists. Another piece of this too is just acceptance that our bodies are always going to change. This is why it's so important, you guys, as well, to love your body the way it is now, to learn how to love your body the way it is now, because our bodies are never going to stop changing. And you know this, obviously, from childhood to teenage years, they shift. From teenage years to high school years, they shift. From high school years to whatever, your early 20s, they shift. From early 20s to 30s, they shift. 30s to 40s, they shift. They're going to continue to shift for the rest of our lives. That's just something that happens as a human. If you choose to have babies, if you're able to do that, they're going to shift as you get pregnant, as you have the baby. Our bodies are always going to ebb and flow. They're always going to shift and change. So learning how to love them as they are here and now is so powerful. Honing into body love and learning how to love your body the way it is right now is so powerful for feeling healthy, light, nourished, wholesome, is so powerful for helping your body come back to its natural body frame. And this goes along too with how I think I've shared this on the show before, actually. I know somebody personally and she was going through the journey with me. So her and I, a few years back, were on the journey together to healing our relationships to food and our body, and then learning how to coach others to do the same. So we were both on our journey, and she didn't change anything with her food and exercise regimens, yet she lost like 20 pounds. Maybe it was even more than that, 20 to 40, somewhere in that range. And the reason that she was able to lose that is because emotions are also stored in the body. So she released so much at the same time that she dropped into a place of mad body love and acceptance, that her body just naturally shed the extra fat that was on it without her having to change anything in her diet and exercise regimen. Emotions and resistance and the stress and the anxiety and low vibing emotions, all of that gets stored in the body. So take a deep breath, drop into gratitude for your body and for its ability to grow the baby, and start to take steps toward loving your body the way it is now. And I guarantee you, this will help you flow back into your natural body frame. And like I said, go to my Instagram, go to the post from Monday. So if you're listening to this live, that was 2 days ago, and find the 5 tips on how to do that. All right, moving on. How to overcome the negative around food and body hate. How to overcome negative around food and body hate. I'm going to make some assumptions with this question just because I'm not sure if it's you that's being negative around food in your body, or if you're talking about others being negative about food in your body. But my general basic answer to overcoming the negative around food and body is to come back home to your body, to come back home to your body, to come into a love and acceptance, an unconditional love and acceptance for the body that your soul dropped into. Practice gratitude for your body. So just like I suggested for the last question, go back to my post on Monday, read through those, take all of those tips, let them sink in, really just connecting with your body and connecting. And once again, if you are struggling with negative around food and body, my guess is that you might think you know what connecting to your body means, but there's probably another level that you can drop into. Because as we continue to drop into the deepest depths of our bodies and our souls, we start to develop this unconditional love and acceptance around food and body. I know that answer sounded a little vague, but I also just need a little bit more on this question to be able to answer it. So hopefully that helped at least a little bit. Acceptance, gratitude, unconditional love, softness, remembering that you're doing the best you can for what you know. Those things are the first things that come up in my system when I think about overcoming negative around food and body on just like a very general level. Now, if you're talking about other people, there's actually a question coming up in a few questions that ask about that. So just stay with this episode and I will answer the negative coming from others around food and body a little bit later on. But if you ask this question and you want to get more specific, please do DM me and get more specific with this question. And I promise you, I'll get more specific with this answer. All right, next question are what are your suggestions for goals around the holiday season to have more body peace? You guys are making this really easy for me because I've done so much on this lately with my social media and my Instagram. I'm going to guide you to the video on my Instagram that my friend Jamie and I did. I mentioned this in the last episode as well. So if you go to my Instagram and you scroll down, you're going to see Coffee Chat with Sarah and Jamie. And it's titled Tips for a Wholesome Holiday Thanksgiving Prep Edition. It's a photo in the background of coffee and a pumpkin and a leaf on a bed. That will help guide you with body peace around the holidays. We give so many tips to achieve that body peace. Another option for you, if you are not thinking about joining Diet Culture Dropout, because when you do join Diet Culture Dropout, you get my mini course, Hungry for a Wholesome Holiday. So if you're not joining Diet Culture Dropout, that's something else to consider. I'll link Hungry for a Wholesome Holiday as well. It's $77. And that mini course, it's 5 modules that are 20 minutes or less. It comes with a few meditations. The intentions of that mini course is to help you with the body and food piece around the holidays specifically. A couple of just tips right here, right now, because I want to leave you with something in case you don't want to go back and listen to that video on my Instagram, but being intentional around creating stillness and space for yourself more than usual. So being intentional about your morning routine and making sure that you do a morning routine alone, even if that's literally 5 minutes of sitting in silence, looking out the window with your coffee. Being more intentional about taking breaks. So when you're at holiday parties, excusing yourself, going to find a bedroom where nobody's in, shutting the door, just taking a few deep breaths, that in itself can be so powerful. Or maybe you go to the bathroom, and when you're in the bathroom, you take some deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Eating slowly. Really, my favorite tip is to start to hone in on the love and the gratitude that you have for the things around the holidays that don't involve food, especially in America. And I'm assuming that's like this in other countries as well. We put such a massive emphasis on food when it comes to the holidays. It's almost like we celebrate holidays just to eat more and to have foods that we usually don't cook, which isn't a bad thing. Of course, food is something that connects us all. And we're here to enjoy food, but we're not here just to enjoy food for the holidays. We're here to enjoy time spent with family. We're here to love on each other and connect and talk and take breaks from work and just live and just be. So the more you can hone in on what you love about the holidays outside of food, the easier it's going to be for you to drop into body peace and food peace around the holidays. But like I said, Hungry for a Wholesome Holiday can really, really help you here, as can that video on my Instagram that's titled Tips for a Wholesome Holiday. Next question. Okay, so this beautiful soul says, what do I do about forgetting to take care of my body because of other tensions in life? So this human forgets to take care of her body because of other tensions and other things going on in life. So like I mentioned in that prior question with overcoming negative around food and body, if you're forgetting to take care of your body, chances are you don't have a very deep mind-body connection. Because when you do have that deep mind and body connection, it's really hard to forget to put your body first. So ways that you can establish that deeper mind-body connection is breath work, meditation, taking baths with no technology and no distraction, taking walks with no technology and no distraction. Those are just a few very basic tips. We give a lot of tips on actually mind-body connection. I also have a meditation on mind-body connection. So focusing on establishing and cultivating more of a deeper mind-body connection will help you feel more natural and putting your body first and taking care of your body, even if there are other things going on in life. So that leads me into my second tip here, is to start putting yourself first. There may be other tensions and things and chaos happening in your life, and there probably always will be. We are not on earth alone. We are here with so many other people. We're here with careers and families and friends, and we go to the grocery store and there's people around us, and we drive on the roads and we are driving with a bunch of other souls and a bunch of other cars and vehicles. There's always going to be things happening outside of us, which is why it's so important to set the intention of putting ourselves first. Because when you put yourself first, not only do you remember, when you put yourself first consistently, when you make it habitual to put yourself first, not only do you remember to take care of your body, but you take care of your body, and then you feel like you're navigating life from a full cup, which makes it even easier to navigate and flow through the tensions that you're referring to. So my idea for you and my suggestion is just to start getting more intentional about giving yourself space and time, either in the morning and or at night. Like I said, you guys, even if it's just 5 minutes of putting yourself first, 5 minutes of doing something that makes you feel so good, so nourished, so at peace, so in alignment with your body can be really, really powerful here. So mind-body connection is just my biggest suggestion for you, is figuring out what a mind-body connection means for you. In my opinion, like I said, breath work is the greatest way to access that, but really cultivating that mind-body connection, it's a devotion, it's a journey. And so choosing to be on that journey and stay devoted to what is that in-depth mind-body connection for me can be really powerful. And like I said, remind the mind in you that it's actually contradictory to forget about your body, because when you forget about your body and you forget about taking care of your body, it makes it so hard to navigate tension in life. It makes it so hard to navigate difficult situations, because when your body isn't functioning properly, when your mind's not clear, when your mind's cluttered with thoughts and chaos and stress and worry and anxiety, it makes it really, really hard to even flow through and find solutions to the other tensions. All right, this next question is so good. Such a great question. And I will say that the answer is pretty individualistic, but I will give you my thoughts. The question is, why do I care so much about other people's opinions on me, my body, my mind, my soul, and my beliefs? The first answer is that we're taught. It's conditioned. It's taught to us from a young age to care about what other people think. What I want you to do, if you ask this question, or if you resonate with this, if you care a lot about what other people think, I want you to look at your parents or your guardians, whoever raised you. I want you to reflect on them and how they either showed up while they were raising you, or how they show up now if they're still living on this physical earth. The people who raised you, the people you were surrounded by growing up, do they care a ton about what other people think of them? Did they put on a front or put on a mask? Do they put on a people-pleasing mask? Do they try to people-please to the world? Do they put on a mask that's like, everything's awesome, even though it wasn't awesome when you guys were at home in the house? Did they wear masks to make themselves look better or happier, even though that maybe wasn't the truth? My guess is going to be yes, that you were raised in that kind of an environment, which most of us are. So that's the simplest answer, is just that it's conditioned. It's conditioned in our subconscious minds, which control 95% of our thoughts, words, actions, feelings, therefore results. It's embedded in our subconscious minds to care so much about what other people think. Now, the deeper, more individualistic part of this, what I want you to ask yourself is, what fears come up for me, or what comes up for me when I think about living my life not caring what anybody else thinks of me? Answering that question will help you find your answer. A lot of the times, this leads back to the core subconscious wounds of not feeling loved, not feeling worthy, or not feeling like enough. A lot of the times, the minds are afraid that if we do something and somebody judges us for doing it, that means that we make it mean that we're not lovable. We make it mean that we're not enough. A lot of the times we feel that if we follow our truth and our soul's desires, and our friends or those on social media or our families don't agree with what we're doing, with what our truth is, we make it mean that they're not going to love us anymore. We make it mean that we're not enough for them. We make it mean that we're not worthy enough. So a lot of the times this question and this concern of being super concerned with what others are thinking is that we're going to be judged, and we make it mean that when we're judged, that means something about who we are, which isn't true. That's just a limiting belief of the mind. But I want you to explore, like, what is my fear? So you can even try putting yourself in a situation. So maybe you can think of a situation. Maybe you were at a family gathering, or maybe you were like out at a restaurant, and you can reflect back on a time where you were super concerned about what your body was looking like. I know that I can seriously think of so many times that I was out and I was wearing a certain outfit. Maybe it was a crop top, maybe it was some tighter jeans. And I would think so hard, like, what are they thinking? Do people think that I'm skinny enough or have a good enough body, quote unquote, good enough? Like, who's to say what a good enough body is to wear a crop top? That's a whole topic for another day. But I remember thinking, are they thinking that I'm too big for this? Should I be wearing this? What do they think about me? Do they think I'm skinny? Do they think that I look good? Do they think that I look big? Do they think that I gain weight? Bring yourself back to a time where you experienced that, where you experienced being really concerned about what others were thinking of your body, and ask yourself the question, and this is going to be hard, but I'm inviting you up into this. If that were true, if those people, which a lot of the times it's not, because a lot of the times as humans, we're so concerned about ourselves that we're not thinking about others. And you all know the quote, we're all our own biggest critics. So a lot of the times the thoughts that we make up that others are thinking aren't actually true. But I want you to ask yourself, if those thoughts were true, if those people were thinking all of these things about my body, what pains come up? What do I make that mean about me? So like for me, looking back to those moments in life, if those people were thinking Sarah shouldn't be wearing that crop top, Sarah has too much fat on her body to wear that crop top, she has love handles because her jeans are too tight. If people were thinking that, once upon a time, I would have made it mean that I'm not good enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I'm not skinny enough, that I'm not enough as I am, as my body is. That's not true. Having a skinny body does not make you not enough. So this goes back to healing that enoughness wound. Now I'm at the point where if the thought comes up like, oh, what are others going to think about so I can literally give you guys a perfect example. I was in New York City over the past weekend and I'm on my moon. So I was bloated, and there's these leggings that I love. They're so comfortable. They're so cute. And when I'm bloated, they really show the bloat. So there was a thought in the mind that was like, oh, what are my friends going to think about the bloated stomach? Are they going to think I'm fat? Are they going to think that I'm not working out enough? Instantly, I caught the thoughts. I released them and thought, it doesn't matter. I am who I am. I'm enough because I'm enough. I love my body. That's all that matters. I am worthy no matter what my body's looking like. I'm enough no matter what my body looks like. I'm loved no matter what my body looks like. If they are judging me, which they weren't, but if they are judging me, that has way more to do with them than it has to do with me. So just start to explore the limiting beliefs and the wounding underneath the opinions of others. And just full circling it, like I said, a lot of the times this is just very conditioned. So it's all about unlearning what you were taught, which was to care about what other people think. It's about unlearning and deciding, do I want to live a life caring about what other people think? Or would I rather live a life just caring about myself and my truth and giving from a place of love and overflow from that place? because it's really, really hard to give from unconditional love and acceptance when you care so much about other people's opinions. Okay, we're going to go through one more question on this episode, and that is, what are some easily accessible ways to work through desires to be over full when I know those desires and feelings are coming from a place of stress and anxiety? For example, when I'm experiencing feelings of anxiety about a day of work, I often really want to just eat past fullness. I know why I'm craving it, but I feel like I need a different outlet that I trust will work in that moment. First of all, I want to honor you for the wording here when I'm experiencing feelings of anxiety instead of saying when I am anxious. That tip in itself is so powerful, realizing that your soul isn't anxious. Like, I am anxious is not the truth of who you are. You're just simply experiencing those feelings of anxiety, those sensations of anxiety at a moment in time. So honoring you for that, and also honoring you for realizing that, oh, I know why I'm craving the food. I know why I want to stuff myself right now. It's because I'm experiencing this anxiety and these sensations of stress that feel uncomfortable. So my first response to you is to start to explore the concept of feeling in order to heal. As you realize, when you experience sensations of anxiety and stress that feels uncomfortable in your body, it feels like pain in your body. And the mind in you knows that if you grab food and you start eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, you're going to temporarily be distracted by the pain. And when you eat to the point where you're over full, you're now going to be experiencing the sensations of feeling over full instead of the sensations of anxiety and stress. And for you in this point in time, it's easier for you to feel, and probably because the mind knows what it feels like to feel over full, it's easier for you to feel the sensations of being over full than feeling the sensations of stress and anxiety. So exploring the concept of feeling in order to heal and asking yourself, why am I so afraid of experiencing those feelings of stress and anxiety? What does the mind in me think is going to happen if I let myself feel the stress and anxiety? The mind in you probably is going to answer, well, the stress and anxiety is going to get worse. My question is, have you ever even given yourself a full, genuine chance to be with the sensations of stress and anxiety? Have you ever given yourself space and time when you notice the anxiety coming on? Have you ever tried creating a sacred, quiet space? Have you ever tried walking into your living room or going into your car and just sitting there, breathing with the sensations of anxiety and stress? Have you ever even given yourself a chance to feel into them and explore them? Or have you always turned right to the food? My guess is that you actually haven't fully tried to feel in order to heal. And so therefore, when the mind tells you, well, that doesn't work, it's going to get worse. Can we really believe that? Because have you ever given yourself the chance to try that? So explore what it means to you or what it would look like to you to feel in order to heal. Breathing, creating stillness, creating silence, creating space, going into a guided meditation for mind-body connection. Once again, I have a free mind-body connection meditation that you can download on my Instagram profile. If you go to link in my bio and you scroll down a little bit, you'll see it there. Flowing into that meditation, going for a walk, all of those things can be really, really helpful for guiding you and teaching you what it means to feel in order to heal. Intuitive movement is another one of my favorite practices for feeling to heal. So basically how you intuitively move is you just stand up somewhere in private, you close your eyes, you drop into your body and you say, okay, I know I'm experiencing sensations of anxiety and stress. Where are they? You find them in your body. For me, they're usually in my chest. And then you start to move with them. So you start to sway back and forth. Maybe your body wants to throw you forward. Maybe your body wants to shake. Maybe your body wants to scream. Like, ask those sensations of anxiety, what do you need from me right now? And see if you can honor that somatically. And what I mean by that is see if you can honor that through moving your body, through that somatic movement of shaking or screaming, or maybe punching some pillows. For me, it usually looks like a combination of all of them. So those are some ways that you can move through the pain instead of numb it with the food. And what you'll find is when you start to feel it, to heal it and move through it, they become less and less, and it becomes easier and easier to actually feel them instead of numb them. All right. So we actually do have one more question, but I'm not going to answer it here. The question is, how do you recognize your triggers? Go to episode 13 on the Her Vibe is Pretty podcast. It's called Triggers and How to Be Grateful for Assholes. In that episode, we talk all about triggers and we talk about how to recognize them. To leave you with a couple of things here, triggers, you can usually feel them in your body. So if you start to feel hot, if your heart drops, if you start to feel tense or tight in your body, or if you notice that you are binge and emotional eating or smoking weed isn't, I don't think it's always a bad thing, but if you're smoking weed when you actually would rather be doing something else that feels better for your life experience, if you notice yourself turning to wine or over consuming wine, if you notice yourself doing too much of anything that you're trying to stop doing, that's probably an indication that you were triggered by something prior to that. But episode 13 will go into more detail with that answer. All right, that is it for part 3. Stay tuned for part 4, where we'll be talking about like actual food and nourishing bodies. But like I said, that won't be dropped for probably about a month or so. And once again, another reminder that if you're ready to do a deep dive into all of these questions, of course, you have some guidance, you have some journaling prompts, you have some wisdom to work with now, here and now. I gave you all that I could on this episode because truth is a lot of this stuff just goes way, way deeper. So if you're ready to access that depth and to discover and create your own answers and your own way out and your own way into healing your relationship to food in your body, Diet Culture Dropout is the course for you. It's open for one more week. If you enroll by tonight at midnight, you can use code PrettyVibeTribe on any of the payment plans, on the pay in full or on payment plan option number 1 or number 2. So you could get started today for as little as $137. And you can get going on finally overcoming this, healing your relationship to food in your body, which I promise you is going to be such a huge awakening for you in every area of life. So head to the link in the show notes, or you can do sarahjeanharkin.com. You'll see a tab up top that says Diet Culture Dropout. Read through the page, see if it sounds aligning. If you have any questions, concerns, or hesitations on the program, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about it. And I will see you in that potent, magical container. I cannot wait to celebrate you saying yes to yourself and the overall quality of your life. We'll celebrate you joining in our Facebook group. Our community there, our family there is so awesome. You're going to bond with so many other humans that are on this journey with you. So once again, if you have questions, please reach out. Enroll tonight by midnight for $50 off. And if you don't catch that discount, you have until the 15th to enroll at the price that it's at now. Just a reminder, the price is increasing by $500 plus for the relaunch in 2022. But if you enroll now, you will get everything that is included in that upgraded program. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for being a part of the Pretty Vibe Tribe. I hope to talk to you all soon, whether that's in my DMs, on Instagram, in our Facebook group, or in Diet Culture Dropout. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.